Okay, now we're going to discuss the quarterback position for the 2007 season. We're each going to give you our top 10 selections, followed by some discussion, some sleepers, and some players we think are going to drop this season. So Jason, why don't you give us your picks?
Thanks, Jeff. At number 10, I have Vince Young. Number 9, Matt Hasselbeck. Number 8, Eli Manning. Number 7, Jon Kitna. Number 6, Drew Brees. Number 5, Donovan McNabb. 4, Tom Brady. 3, Mark Bulger. 2, Carson Palmer. And 1, Peyton Manning. Jeff, what are your top 10?
Number 10, I have Eli Manning. Number 9, Tony Romo. Number 8, Ben Roethlisberger. Number 7, Vince Young. Number 6, Mark Bulger. Number 5, Tom Brady. Number 4, Drew Brees. At 3, I have Donovan McNabb. At 2, I have Peyton Manning. And number 1 this year, I have Carson Palmer. So I think our selections are very different this year. Jason has more of a chalk pick, and I have some sleepers in there that people might not have thought of.
Jeff, the obvious one that stands out is you have Carson Palmer at number 1 over Peyton Manning. I think just about everybody in the world has Peyton Manning as number 1 quarterback in this league. Please discuss why you picked Carson Palmer ahead of Peyton Manning.
Every once in a while there's a passing of the torch, whether it be running back and how Dane Tomlinson took that about 2 or 3 years ago. I believe this is the year that Carson Palmer and the Bengals passing offense is without a doubt the number 1 passing offense in the league, with Chad Johnson, E.J. Husmanzada, Chris Henry the last 8 games of the year. And I think Carson Palmer will benefit and will lead the way. He will lead the league in touchdowns and will lead the league in passing yards. And I think he's going to be the number 1 quarterback this fantasy football season.
Hey, you never know. Peyton Manning has been so outstanding all these years, but you never know when that 1 year is going to be that somebody else steps up to take his place.
Now, I noticed in your selection that you had Jon Kitna in there. Now, I realized Kitna had a good year last year with a top 5 quarterback, fantasy-wise. However, it was his first really solid fantasy season, and do you think, explain to me why you think he will remain a top 10 quarterback.
Detroit has picked up the second outstanding running back in David Bell. And they've also picked up very fantastic wide receiver Calvin Johnson, just adding to his arsenal. Now he has Calvin Johnson, he has Mike Fury, and he has Corey Williams as well. So
good receivers, but
it's an outstanding stable of receivers out there. So I don't know who he's going to favor out of those 3, but whichever one he does, he has a lot of choices.
And I do realize it's a Mike Martz system, so that's past the factor.
For sure.
So I have a little bit more to discuss on that later.
A couple others I see that you picked are Donovan McNabb ranked 3rd, coming off of a very serious injury. Granted, he did have a fantastic start to last season, but how do you see him coming back after that injury? Added to the fact that he's lost on his Stallworth, who was really his go-to guy for the first bunch of years.
Well, with Donovan McNabb, there's always going to be an asterisk there. It's barring injury. He is known for his injuries, and they are pretty severe usually when they happen. However, when healthy, McNabb has been consistently a top 3 quarterback, fantasy-wise, and I see no other reason why that's going to change this year. He has Brian Westbrook still there. He has his core receivers. He doesn't need top receivers. He doesn't need, he can produce without great receivers. And Andy Reid as a coach is going to throw the ball, and we know that he's going to get yards and touchdowns, and McNabb's legs give him some rushing touchdowns as well, which in many formats is 6 points versus 3 points for a passing touchdown. So that's always a big factor in my mind. I think McNabb is primed for an outstanding year.
Finally, I got to ask you about Ben Roethlisberger. You have him in your top 10 as well, and we all know about his horrendous season last year, leading the league in interceptions. Why do you foresee him being a top 10 quarterback this year?
2 things. One, the emergence of Santonio Holmes. I believe the second-year receiver from Ohio State is going to blossom into a very good fantasy wide receiver. You have Hines Ward, Mr. Reliable, and you have Heath Miller coming on as a tight end. So I think that the combination of those 3 receivers is going to make Roethlisberger a top 10 receiver, in addition to new offensive coordinator Bruce Arians bringing an aerial attack that allows Ben to do what he likes to do on the offense, as well as throwing the ball to Willie Parker. That has never been a factor in the Steelers' offense. I believe that Some flare passes out of the backfield, some screens are going to add to his passing numbers and going to add to his touchdown numbers.
It sounds like Big Ben's going to have a lot of responsibility in the offense this year, and we'll see how that goes. So let's move on to our sleepers. Jeff, you want to take us through your 2 sleepers?
Sure. My 2 sleepers this year, and we count sleepers as guys who are not in the top 10 last year for fantasy value. So we picked 2 players that we each think might get into that category. My 2 sleepers this year are Alex Smith from San Francisco and Rex Grossman from Chicago. And Jason, who are your 2 sleepers?
My 2 sleepers are Matt Leinart from Arizona and J.P. Mossman of Buffalo Bills.
Now, there are players always in the top 10 that we think are going to be they've been top 10 quarterbacks for a while, and we think they might drop this year. Jason, who do you believe is going to be a quarterback or 2 quarterbacks that will drop out of the top 10 this year?
Well, Jeff, I know we both agree that Brett Favre is a guy who's going to drop out of the top 10. I think we both see his production diminishing this year, so I certainly have him as one of my falling stars. I also have Tony Romo as one of my guys who I think will drop. He had a really great start to his career the first number of games last year, but once defenses got to see him on film and got to see the way he worked, they were able to cover his tendencies for sure.
Like you said, Favre, obviously, we believe he's going to drop this year, although we've said that in past years, so you never know with Brett Favre. And a guy that I see as dropping this year is Jon Kitna. As we had a discussion before, I believe Kitna either is primed for an injury or just for a down year. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, even with Mike Martz's system. And I believe that last year was an anomaly, and we shall see.
So please send us your questions regarding your quarterbacks to fantasywiseguys@hotmail.com. We'll answer those questions on a week-to-week basis.